Hi, and thank you for joining us today. You're listening to Radio Ear Network, and I'm your host, Julie Salant, and this is Motivation Addict on Society Bites Radio, social interaction for the mind and soul. Welcome, everyone. I'm your host, Julie Salant, and today our guest is Wren Blae Zimmerman. She is a blind para-equestrian, and we'll find out more when we return. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the show, Motivation Addict. I am thrilled today to have an amazing guest for you. I know everyone's going to hang on every word she says. Her name is Wren Blae Zimmerman. She is a para-equestrian, and I've spoken with her before, privately, but she's just got quite a story for us today. So welcome to the show, Wren. Thank you for being here.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me, Julie.
So, Wren, would you mind explaining to the listeners a little bit about what your invisible disability is, just to give them a little bit of background?
Yeah, so I actually am visually impaired, also considered legally blind. And when I was 17, as a senior in high school, I was diagnosed with a rare incurable eye disease called Stargardt's macular dystrophy. And it's actually very similar to macular degeneration. It's a progressive degenerative disease. And over the past few years, my vision has gotten progressively worse, and I'm now considered legally blind. So what that means is that I am blind even with the aid of corrective lenses. So I can wear contacts, but they don't completely fix the problem. So pretty much what I see, my central vision is completely blank. And then in short, my peripheral vision is really blurry. And I can kind of see, contrasting color and some movement, but everything is just really blurry.
So what that means, everyone, is just to give you a little bit of a description, when you get out of the shower and the mirror is foggy. So that's kind of at least a little bit of what Wren sees. But if you take an eraser and put it in the middle and you erase the person's face, that's what she's really looking at. So she can see peripherally, exactly. Right? Your vision on the side a little bit, and she sees
right
a little bit in color, right, Wren? Maybe the bigger something is.
Right. Essentially, the more contrast there is in color, the brighter the colors, the more I can make out something. If there are similar colors or shades, they just kind of blend together. And also that central vision, it takes away my visual acuity, which involves being able to see people's faces or read, especially small print, things like that.
So this in itself is not too amazing for a lot of listeners, but what is amazing is that Wren is a show jumper.
Yes.
She jumps horses, right? For all the equestrians listening, and she is legally blind. And this is amazing to me. And I was so thrilled to talk with her. And I'd love to, maybe let's talk about how you got into the sport and what made you love it so much. Maybe that's a good starting point.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I've always had an affinity for horses. Ever since I was little, I was fascinated with them. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to ride growing up. My parents just didn't really support that. So it wasn't until after college that I actually started taking riding lessons at a therapeutic riding center. And that's when I really began to learn how to ride, just the basics. And then I always wanted to jump. And so my therapeutic riding instructor there told me that that really wasn't possible because of my vision. I would never be able to control a jumper horse, let alone get around a course. So I kind of decided to move on from that stable and find another trainer. And I got a great opportunity at a hunter jumper stable, and I went in pretty much in 3 years from learning how to ride a horse to actually jumping full courses and competing against able-bodied riders at rated shows.
Woohoo!
Yeah,
Awesome. Yes, yes, yes. That is amazing. So
thank you.
now, if for everybody that's an equestrian out there, if you are a hunter jumper, then you know the process of how you learn the course. And correct me if I'm wrong, Ren, because I'm not a hunter jumper, but a lot of times what they do is the rider will go out and look at the jumps, and then you'll walk it. So you're gauging how many strides you have for your horse to know
Hmm.
how far you are from the jump. And then at the end of that, you take a right or a left, correct?
Right.
Okay.
Yes. Yes.
So normally when you go to any show, this doesn't take too long. Most of the time, they're doing it, quite often. But Ren has a different process. Would you mind telling them your process, Ren? Because I think it's amazing.
Absolutely. Yeah. So the way it works, usually they will post the courses at the beginning of the day. And then, as you said, the riders can go look at the piece of paper and then go walk the course. Now, what I have to do because of my vision, I obviously can't look around the course to see where the jumps are, to see, the jumps have a red flag and a white flag. Red is on the right, white is on the left. And then they have the numbers in front of the jumps. When I'm in the course, I can't look around to find my next jump. So what I actually have to do is make a mental map of the entire arena and where all the objects in the arena are before I ever learn my course. So I go out a few hours before they even post the course, and I have an aide, and we essentially put the arena into a grid. And so I'll walk, the half lines, the quarter lines, both directions, and then I'll go to each jump and sort of do a 360 circle, and the aide will tell me what color jump and where it is in relation to the jump we're standing at, how far away it is, at what angle it is to me. So I get a really good mental map of where all the objects in the arena are. In addition to that, before I ever learned the course, I also have this whiteboard, and we make these little magnets with colored jumps that mimic what's really in the arena. And my aide will actually put them on the whiteboard in the formation that they are. And then I'll use a dry erase marker to map out both the original course as well as the jump off, which is a timed course. It's just a separate kind of course in the jumper ring, in different colors. And I'll also write on a piece of paper what the name of the jump is, yellow jump and then a right or a left, and green jump, left, red jump, right. So I really have a good idea of where all the objects in the arena are. And then once I'm learning the course, what colors I'm looking for and going for as I'm going around the course, because I'm looking for those blobs of color essentially.
Right, right. So that is an impressive system. It sounds very methodical and
It
very well
is.
thought out. But how long does it take you to actually remember this system?
It's Yeah, so it's usually, it will take me about an hour just to go through the process of mapping out the course and going into the arena and doing the grid and working with my aide. And then it usually takes about another half an hour to an hour of me just sort of sitting alone and going over that whiteboard and my sheet of paper that has the course. So in all, it's a total of about 2 to 3 hours of both memorizing where the jumps are as well as the actual course.
Wow. So that's a lot of prep work. But
Yes.
when you get in there, you feel confident when you get in now that you've memorized everything and you know where you need to point your horse and how far away you'll be from each jump?
Yes, I do. And I know, I obviously walk out all the striding with my trainer and everything. So I have a really good idea of where everything is. And I know exactly where I need to be, how many strides out I need to be turning. And then in addition to that, I also have an earpiece that I use with my trainer. So, if I'm not turning at the right spot, or if I have something just a little bit off, or I've forgotten a stride, she can just make sure that I'm pointed in the right or the straight direction towards the jump.
So it's quite a process. It's probably, pretty involved, but I think it's
Yes, it
pretty
is.
amazing what you do. And my
Thank you.
question to Ren is always this. Okay, so you've got that down and you know where you're going and you have it all mapped out in your mind. And then you've got to add in the other part of this 50% part of the horse,
Right.
right? So we've got 1,000 pound plus horse who can think and is very quick on his feet. Can you tell us a little bit about, now you're leasing a new horse, correct, Ren?
I am, yeah.
Okay.
And that, so that partnership with the horse is actually incredibly important. A lot of you that if you do ride, you know that when you get on a horse, either you immediately bond with the horse or you don't. But having that horse that, not that he necessarily understands that I can't see, but he understands that he needs to make up for whatever I'm lacking. And so a horse that is, one, athletic enough to get me out of a situation or us out of a situation should I put us in it. And two, that can sort of accommodate, that knows his job really well, that knows that he's supposed to go over the jump. If we aren't straight to it, he corrects for that. So it's really that partnership with the horse that makes this all possible.
So this is the part where I always say, okay, that's really awesome, but how does he know, or or both of you know how far you are from the middle of the jump, because you actually can't see the middle. So,
Right.
and Ren had said he knows his job and he always gets me over. Is that right?
Yeah, yeah. So essentially, when I'm coming off the jump, I know, let's say it's a bending line. So it's about 3 strides, and then you bend a little and take a 4th stride, and then there's the next jump. So I really do know where I am in between those jumps. And obviously, the horse can see the jump from a few strides out, and he knows that he's supposed to go over it. I mean, he will make sure that we go over it no matter what. And so it's that combination of me knowing the striding and where we are, and him doing his job of jumping. And I can feel when he's going to take off, and I can feel him sort of collecting up, and you can tell a lot from the feel of the horse. And so it's that sort of symbiotic relationship.
Absolutely. And Ren, tell us a little bit about how the horses know that maybe something's a little bit different about you and how they take care of you when you're riding them.
Yeah. So, as I said before, I'm not necessarily sure that the horse actually knows that I can't see, but he obviously can sense. You have to have the confidence. So even if I can't see, I have to have confidence that he will go over the jump, and I have to have confidence in myself that I can do it. And I think it's not that he knows that I can't see, but it's just that confidence in each other, really. I mean,
Yes.
I really don't know how else to explain it.
Well, I think one time when we were talking earlier, you had said that sometimes he will, if you're losing your seat a little bit, he'll put his shoulder up to help you a little bit. I feel like in my experience, and I think you had said the same thing, but tell me if I'm wrong here, the horses know how we're feeling, right? They know if we're having a good day or not a great
Absolutely.
day. And a lot of times, whether you have a disability or not, and I kind of say that word loosely, and I shouldn't, because I feel like everybody has stuff going on, right?
Yeah.
And we all have days where we're not having a really great ride, but a lot of times, if you have that bond and relationship, they're
Right.
going to help you and correct
Right.
you. And it's amazing when it happens.
Yeah, yeah. And actually, I know we had spoken before. It was the horse that I was leasing, the last horse I was leasing, not the one I have currently, that would, I swear he took care of me. And as you said, if I was going kind of falling off to the right, he would be lifting his shoulder. And it's sort of one of those, if you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. I mean, you're there for the horse, you go to the barn every day, you love him, and he gives you
Yeah.
that in return. And so it's that almost mutual respect, and, confidence in each other, that he can sense where your body is. He can sense what your emotions are, and he tries to maybe make up what you're lacking and make sure that you're working together.
That's awesome. And I love that. And that's why I love horses so much,
I do
because
too.
they just help us with everything. They help us emotionally, they help us physically, and they're just always so present and they're always mindful. So a lot of times if we're thinking about tomorrow, they're not thinking about that. They're here right now 100%. And that's probably a
Right.
really important thing, especially when you're jumping, obviously.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. And it's interesting you should say that. I mean, obviously, we all hear about how horses have helped people, whether they have disabilities or people, veterans who have PTSD. I mean, the impacts that horses can have on people's emotional state and just help them in general is amazing. And I mean, from my point of view, having a disability, horses have given me freedom in a way. I can't drive anymore. There's things that I'm not able to do. And the horse is, in a sense, my seeing eye horse. So
Yes,
emotionally, it's given me a lot of freedom from a disability and given me that sense of hope. So that's been
absolutely.
amazing.
Absolutely. And the fact that you're cantering around. So everyone, these are not little jumps that Ren's doing. She's competing against able-bodied people. So this is
Mhm.
not a little type of pony thing. These are, she is looking to go to the Paralympics, which we'll talk about a little bit later. But right
Yeah.
now, I'd love to ask you, what is par show jumping, Ren?
So parashow jumping, essentially, the Olympics and the Paralympics, they run all or most of the events that are in the Olympics parallel to that for people with physical disabilities. So pretty much anything that you can find in the Olympics, you can find something